Hello, we're back again. We're just gonna dive right into it. There's a lot of talk in the online conservative movement about you know if you've paid attention at all to politics, really online politics, you would know that the rise of traditionalism and trad and return, saying that correctly, is coming back, right? I mean, we see right-wing populist movements all across Europe and all across, Western nations and that kind of thing. So there's a lot of talk about criticizing liberalism and the return to trad. And one of the reasons, and a lot of this gets talked about when it comes to like declining birth rates and that kind of thing, and those political topics and yada yada yada. And one thing I think it's almost shocking because the conservatives don't really like they're surprised, like, because there's all this talk about how right-wing, like online right-wing women commentators that are big aren't really living up to that moniker, right? Like there's there's Isabella DeLuca, there's like Lauren Southern gets browbeat a lot, like a lot of these, Brittany Vente gets attacked, Sydney Watson, these types. There's probably more, I'm just not. And it's almost, and I don't want to comment on each specific case and what have you, but like Ava Vladersbrook is another example. She's like 500,000 followers, and I think 700,000, I think. And it's almost, and conservatives, like a lot of these conservatives, like these women are grifters, and like liberals are like talking about this too, and it's like, but here's the thing though, because, and I promise this is not me simping just for the miracle shot, right? The miracle, okay, maybe a little bit, no. But, I think some of these women have probably really, maybe not thought through their ideas or thought as hard about them, and I think the expectations of the idea of traditionalism and its flaws. And one of them is like, online conservatives constantly tell people they have to be really, like, fat acceptance is wrong, and they have to be really, like, physically attractive, and they're always posting these, like, Roman Greek statues of, like, these, like, 6'4", like, physically shredded, abs and huge biceps and that kind of thing, and their AVIs, and it's like, and they're always talking about going to the gym and working out and that kind of thing, and it's like, but one of the flaws to that, to being very, like, physically attractive, is that you're going to have a lot of suitors. And, one of the problems with that, like, for, like, the Lauren Southerns, Faith Goldie got browbeat for this as well, the Brittany Ventes and that kind of thing, is that they know they have a lot of suitors. They know a lot of, like, right-wing men and just men in general want to, like, fuck their brains out, right? They know this. They're not stupid. They even, kind of, like, egg them on a little bit. And like the Isabella DeLucas, like, they're not stupid. And the problem with that is, like, if they're in like a relationship with some guy, like, all the guy has to do is maybe like eat a food in a weird way, and they're gonna be like, well, gone. Because they know there's so many men out there, there's so many guys out there, whereas, like, do you know what I mean? Like, like, logically you think, I know people will maybe, like, try and point out the flaws of this, but, like, being someone who knows, hey, this is it, I'm not going to do any better, like, I have to, they're not going to leave, like, why would they, right? Like, if I'm I'm not stupid. I know I'm not a good-looking guy. I know I'm not a good-looking. If I'm with some like smoke show woman or something, why the hell am I gonna like dump her? Why the hell am I gonna? And whereas like the problem is like they know they can always do better. There's this perfect guy out there. There's this perfect. So it's kind of a flaw. Like maybe you're not. Neither side is thinking things through enough. And then there's the other part of it too. It's like think about what you're asking for. Think about as a conservative what you're asking for. You're asking for young attractive people to give up the prime of their sexual physical life. 25, 30, whatever, 26, whatever, 22, 23, whatever, and get married and have kids and commit to a guy. I mean, you better be sure that that guy or that girl is the one. Because if you're not, then you're going to be in this like marriage or this debacle, or they're going to have like half your shit, whatever. There's going to be all this chaos. And you're going to give up what is the prime, like... Because the problem with conservatives is they always... And first of all, too, it's like it's hard to do something and convince someone, okay, well, do this now, but you can't reap the rewards and reap the benefits and truly reap the thing until later on. Like now, it's going to be a punishment. You know what I mean? It's not easy to convince people to do that, right? Like when you're in elementary school or high school, and you have to and you're a parent who has a kid in high school or elementary school, and you have to convince them to go and get a job or do work or study really, really hard because you're not going to benefit from now. Don't go to the parties. Instead of going to the parties, you have to study and put your foot down. You're not going to benefit from that now, but you'll benefit from it in the future. Sometime magically in the future. No, people want to know that their work is being rewarded. People don't want this kind of in the future. Because to them in the future is, that's never going to get there, eh? Nobody ever thinks, when you're younger, when you're, just in general, I remember when I was younger, I was 10, and I would walk and see cars driving on the road, and I would say, man, I could never see myself doing that. I just can't see myself, becoming 20 or something, because you're not, it's such a long, and you're just not thinking it's going to happen. And it does, but you're not gonna so convince people, of that, right? It's hard. I mean, look at conservative arguments. It's always, well, when you're 45, do you want to have a cat, or do you want to just own a bunch of cats? Because that's what you're doing this because. I mean, they'll always make the arguments of, well, when you're, we'll talk about sperm count as you get older, and as you get older, the older you get, the more likely the child that you have is gonna have I can't remember what the name of it is. Basically, it'd be mentally retarded. It starts with an A. It's not AIDS. It's not Alzheimer's. It's not. Not asthma. It's the other one, but you know what I'm talking about. They always debate whether the vaccine will give you your kid. Whatever. But that's basically right. It's and so again, it's always well, when you're older, you'll regret it. But the consensus seems to be, it doesn't really give you happiness right now, because what is having a kid, and especially too, it's when you're 26, you're probably not as ready, you're not as mature, your life skills aren't as great, maybe your money and your financial situation isn't as great, so it's you know what I mean, and So it's but what are the actual reasons? Like why should I want a kid at 26? Is it actually going to make me happy at 26?